So the first part of this session is to get a definition of what a deconstruction actually is. So what do you think it means, Ariel, to deconstruct a skill, or anyone in watching this right now?
So I'll start, and then we can watch the chat, see if people chime in.
Yeah.
To deconstruct really means looking at taking a skill and then breaking it down into smaller skill sets and even smaller skill sets till you get to the basic, the smallest component of the largest skill that you need. You have to learn. So that's how I see deconstructing.
Yeah, that's a good start. So when I ask people throwing a basketball, for example, ask them like, is that the lowest you can go? And a lot of times people say yes. And the reality is there's actually quite a few sub-skills in throwing a basketball. If you watch the video that we put in the description for the event, you'll see that we listed, I think it was 7 different skills. So in order to throw a perfect basketball, there's jumping involved. There is pushing involved. There is the tilting motion. There's calculation of distances between the net and yourself, and a bunch of different things. So when we think that a skill is as small as it can be, a lot of times it's actually not true. So Ariel is right that it is about breaking everything down to the very, very smallest action possible. And so in order to do that, the best way that I found was actually from this book here called Ultra Learning by Scott Young. And the cover might be different if you look on Amazon. I think I've got a special advanced copy and they changed the cover. But it's called Ultra Learning. So I'll put it in the sessions here, in the sessions chat, Ultra Learning. And in the first chapter, he talks about meta learning, which is basically before you're learning in preparation for what you're going to be doing. And he recommends spending about 10% of your practice time on meta learning. And he divides that into how, why, what, where, and when. And in this training session, in this workshop, we're going to look into just one component, which is the what. And the what we're going to look into is the SkillUp trees. It's really divided in 3 categories. So when you want to break one thing down, you break it down into 1, concepts. This is basically what you need to understand for you to be able to learn the skill. So very important. The second one is facts. So things you got to memorize, things you got to know before you can learn the skill. And procedures, which is the things you have to do. So for example, I'm learning this here. This month, I'm learning ukulele. And for example, I did an example of breaking it down like that. And I listed down into 3 different, 3 different columns. And basically anything I come up with, I put it there. And you probably can't read this because my writing is not the best, but I understand myself. And so some of the concepts that I came up with was, 1, holding this. It sounds ridiculous, but holding this is actually a skill. There is a proper way to hold it, and a lot of people actually struggle with that. So when they set out to learn to play ukulele or guitar, they jump straight into the tabs, like the chords, what they should be doing to play. But in reality, they don't even know how to hold it. So for me, that was the first step, and that was one of the concepts. Now, in terms of facts, there are the chords. I got to learn what is a G chord. This is a G chord. And I have to learn that. So this one is a fact, but it's also a procedure because I can play it, right? So every time you start with learning a new skill, that's basically what you start doing. So you list the concepts, you list the facts, you list the procedures, and the way you find them is easy. You Google it. It really is all it is, right? And my strategy is kind of like a table of content approach. So I search how to play ukulele. I search different ways for how to play ukuleles: beginner ukulele, advanced ukulele, ukulele concepts. You can search like these things, and then you open 10 different tabs. So you open a few articles, and then you just scan, and like everything that's headline in bold or bullet list usually is a good indication of it's a concept within that skill. That's how I got this list basically. So for concepts and facts, it's Google with articles and that kind of stuff is really good.
Cool.
For procedures, I tend to go on YouTube to find them. YouTube is a very good resource for the actual practice of it, and not so much on the facts. So that's really what I do when I start learning, and before I know how to break it down. So it takes, depending, I spend at least an hour doing that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's how I break it down.
Nice.
Do you have other strategies, Ariel, you're using, or anyone in the chat?
So the strategies that I use is really looking at taking the first, again, looking at the skill and deconstructing it into the innermost parts, and then using the style that I learn and understanding how I learn best, which is through audio. So I may not necessarily read the articles, but I would definitely listen to it. Or if there are instructions that require a different modality. So, for example, if it's reading following a recipe, a cooking recipe. So it says like preheat the oven to 350 degrees. So I've done that before, so I can put a mental model to that of what it means to turn the oven on to 350 degrees and when I need to put it on. So some type of call to action versus just the theory behind it. Yeah. I find that either doing or being able to associate it with a previous action is helpful. And I can also hear the author or hear my own voice telling me what to do. So that's why I'm constantly talking to myself, which drives the rest of the family nuts, but it helps me.
So you do that to deconstruct or to learn?
I do that
or both.
Yeah, both. I will use to deconstruct. I will almost use like a tree, if you will, like a pyramid tree when you're doing factors to figure out, okay, where do I need to go? But I'm always talking. I'm talking it through. I'm not thinking quietly to myself. There's always a voice that's going on. And then when I'm learning, it's through talking. I have done the meta learning, or how I self-reflect. And I know that I talk to myself all the time when I am learning. Always.
Interesting. So you talked about trees, and we're going to look at some examples of skill trees that I've built for myself.
Oh, cool.
And that some of them actually can be used for other people as well as templates. And especially the first one that I'm going to show. So I'm going to turn on screen sharing here.
All right.
And let's see what happens. All right, so you should start seeing a new feed, right?
I do.
All right, so you should see Charisma Danny.
Yes.
With a beautiful orange background.
Yes.
As Nick is saying, I was about to mention that you can double tap to make it bigger. Because this is obviously quite small otherwise. So yeah, now that it's bigger, you should be able to read better. I still need to squint a bit. I didn't put my glasses on. But this is a live example of what I built when I was learning to be more charismatic, which is a skill that a lot of people don't think of as a skill. But there's just so many different sub-skills in there that it is a skill. It is a grunt. It is a bigger skill. And so I broke it down into 25 different sub-skills, not all of which I practiced during the month, but some of them I did. And what I did in here is I broke it down first in 3 different parts. So charisma is about communication, it's about body, and it's about mindset. But these are not skills. The skills are the smaller branches. So within communication, I broke it down to listening, talking, and analyzing. And again, these are not the skills, but the next layer are the sub skills required. So they're actions that you can take, that you can practice to be better at it. So an example in the top left corner is smile more under body and face. And you'll notice that charismatic people do smile a bit more than other people. And so my resting face is definitely not smiley. I actually look sad if I'm not if I'm like completely neutral. And that's funny because we all have a very different neutral face, which we don't realize that we actually have. And so, you know, when you walk to work or you commute to work, you look at people and they look sad, or they don't look particularly happy. But a charismatic person does look happy. They look like they're having fun all the time. And so my practice time for this was actually on the way to work. I would smile, and it may sound like an idiot, but it's not like I was doing a really big smile. I was just practicing a neutral face kind of smile. And I realized that after practicing that for a month, smiling became a lot more natural to me. And also, I found myself when I walk now, I am smiling as opposed to looking sad. So you can practice your muscles and in your face to actually get used to that. It actually works. Power posing is similar. You can fake it to start with, and then it becomes natural. And so charismatic people are comfortable in their posture. So they're not like this, and they're just like very comfortable. So I found these two, after a month of practice, I found these two to be very beneficial to getting more charismatic. So all those that are in yellow, they're basically those that I personally found that were very useful to me.
Okay.
So potentially it's different for other people. But I added it there as an indicator. And the numbers you see in there is, so yeah, it might be a bit small, but if you look closer, these numbers are my current proficiency level. So I use a 4-point scale. So my scale is 0. I know nothing about this. 1 is I'm a beginner. 2 is I'm good. 3 is I'm very good, and 4 is I've got nothing else to learn. And so 4 is very rare. 4 is very rare, and 0 is, well, when you're just starting. So this is what you see right now is my current estimation of my proficiency level in charisma. So this is the current thing, and that's a live document. The skill tree is something you update as you go along. So when you build this, you're going to add new nodes. You're going to move nodes around. You're going to add. You're going to increase the score. Hopefully not decrease the score, but who knows, right? Because like the more you know you don't know, and so technically it is possible to decrease. Hopefully you don't do that. Yeah. So what I like to do is have like a starting point and duplicate that and have a ending point. So this right now is my ending point for charisma. And I'm going to switch to other ones. So I've got one that I was working on this month at the beginning of the month. You should be able to double click on this one as well. So this one is humor in video. So I was trying to become funnier, and especially in videos. And it was hard for me, right? It seems like a weird skill, but for me it was very difficult. But this is what I came up with when I started my research on the meta learning part, the concepts, the the facts, the procedures. So I'm going to move this around a bit so you see more of it. For example, like filming is a concept, acting is a concept, but within that, there's also some facts and procedures. Types are concepts and facts. Techniques are what I would be practicing. And I did try. So I did film myself trying to do things, and I just wasn't that funny. and one of the rules that you learn in improv is to not try too hard. Like just be yourself. And I think I'm definitely funnier when I'm not trying. And so one of the ways to really practice becoming funnier is to do improv, and which is something I didn't do. And so if I did that, it would have kept me accountable, and I would probably have followed through more. I also listed all the different sub skills here that I can do. Yeah, so I didn't update this one with my score, but this is technically what it kind of looks like once you have a fully built tree. The one I'm currently working on, I'm gonna switch to the ukulele one. And I made that one a bit more visual. Well, that's visual already, but I put some images in there. So you should be seeing it now.
Oh yeah! Ooh, wow! Look at that.
Yeah. So I put the tabs directly in there, so that it's actually quite actionable and a good reference for me. And for this one, I went through a specific order. Actually, I started learning the general principles in the bottom top left corner, and as I mentioned, learning how to hold it, finger picking, patterns, tuning, which is quite important. When I got my ukulele, it was not tuned, and so I had to learn how to do that. I started learning which chords I'm going to be using for the month. And so my goal was very simple when it came to learning to play ukulele. I wanted, at the end of 30 days, I wanted to be able to play a single song, which was Over the Rainbow, which is not an easy song, but not a hard song either. It's closer to easy than intermediate. So it's a decent song to start as, and that's basically the C, A, M, F, G, and G7 chords, if I'm not mistaken, are those that are in the song.
Okay.
So there's really 5 chords to learn, and so that's why I put in yellow the easiest chords. And that's what I've been practicing for the most part, actually. So moving, the thing I spend the most time in is actually moving my fingers around between these chords. And it takes a lot of time for the brain to get used to it. So the muscle memory takes me a lot of time because I've never played instruments before. So for me, it takes a bit more time than expected. For others, might be easier. But that's what it looks like. It got pretty big, and I haven't updated this one. This one's a template, so this is not my current status. But I put in red my goal here. So these are 3 examples, and what I want to do now. What's going on?
No, I was asking Nicholas a question. That's all.
Cool. Yeah, so what I want to do now is go through an example of a skill tree we built together.
Okay, cool.
So we're going to start with a very, very simple example. And so I'm going to screen share again here. And you should see basically a bunch of templates that I did. And this is the MindMeister tool. This is what I'm using.
Okay.
And I think it's free for up to 5 maps that you're creating.
Okay.
But I use it quite a bit, so I'm definitely paying for it. And so we're going to create a new one. And we're going to do a skill that many people know and many people can do. And it's that one. Riding a bicycle. This seems easy. It seems like an easy skill to to break down, but I did a in-person version of the SkillUp workshop, and people missed a lot of things onto that. So what do you guys think is what do you think it means to ride a bicycle? What are the sub skills required for you to be able to ride a bicycle, or different techniques and stuff? Ariel, you want to start?
Sure. So I guess one interesting observation I had looking at your the different skill trees, some of them were more facts and others were more actionables. You know,
Yeah.
So I guess, and it's really up to the individual to determine what they want to focus on. Is that accurate? Okay.
Certainly. I used to only put the procedures, only the stuff you could act on.
Yeah.
But I realized I was looking at two separate places instead of like that one central location. So I started adding the stuff that you can actually study.
Cool. Okay, so riding a bicycle. So I would say certainly balance.
Okay. So I'm doing that as you mentioned them.
Okay.
I'm adding notes.
So balance, visual motor skills.
Yeah.
I would say how to get on the bike.
That's a good one.
Get on and off the bike. Actually, those are two good skills.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to put it as two.
Yeah. Braking. Safety. So like wearing a helmet.
Okay. I'll add it as separate. So wearing helmet.
Okay.
Or wearing / adjusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's a good one. No one came up with that one yet. 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No one thought about safety, but no one had children.
Sure, but it's also it's mandatory in Massachusetts. You have to wear a helmet. Riding conditions.
Okay.
So I would say both environmental, meaning like weather conditions or day and night, but also terrain.
So I'm just brainstorming, like putting everything like under a single layer. I'm gonna switch also to a different view here. I'm gonna do right aligned.
Okay.
So that's the first step, basically. When you brainstorm that, you just put it all under just a massive tree, and then we're gonna be moving these around into a tree, basically, a real tree.
Cool.
Anything else?
I don't think so. Did I miss anything?
Oh yeah, you missed a lot.
Sitting on the bike, I guess.
Yeah, completely.
Sitting on the bike, pedaling.
Yeah, that's an important one. How do you spell that? Pedaling.
Pedaling.
Okay. Showing me I got it wrong, but okay.
2 L's? Shouldn't be.
So
turn.
Do you ever turn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steering.
Oh yeah, steering better.
I guess proper. I don't even know how to pronounce proper posture. Like, what's the
posture? Yeah. It's crazy just looking at this list, right? Like, you were asking, is there more? And there's at least 2 to 3 times that, to be honest. And then we teach people how to ride a bicycle. We just put them on the bike and we're like, go. Right? And so that's how we teach riding a bicycle. And it's a simple skill, riding a bicycle, compared to a lot of the skills that we want to try to learn as adults. And so when you break it down like that, you realize that, oh yeah, we should be able to train our kids to start with this and that, and like focus on this specific aspect before being like, go.
Yeah, that's
anything else?
I'm sure there is, and I'm missing it.
Are there different types of bicycles?
So the answer is yes. The question is that something that? Yeah. So put that down, assuming that could be an interest.
So you want me to put type of bicycles?
Types of bicycles.
Okay. Because the reason I'm asking that is because you're going to learn different techniques and different things depending on the bicycle you use.
True. That's true. Right, because if you're using a mountain bike versus a regular street bike or a racing bike, it's different.
Yeah. So what are some skills within the different types of bikes?
So certainly shifting, or the gear shift.
Yeah, that's good. No one mentioned that one last time as well.
I guess the rules for riding a bike, meaning the street rules. Who has right of way?
Yeah. So you mentioned getting on, you mentioned pedaling and braking. One of the things that was missing also from the last one I did in live is in person is like starting, like getting like the first part is actually the hardest part.
the inertia. Moving past
the what?
Moving past the inertia, overcoming inertia.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
So that's actually a very important one. Yeah, there's a lot more. And we could go on for a long time on that. But for example, I'm going to add a few. So like descent. So there's like mountain biking, starting from the start and like going down. There's also ascent.
Yep.
There's racing. There's I'm going to put BMX here.
Okay.
As a big category, because BMX is a very different type of riding a bicycle. You basically want to do tricks. So that's the first step. So you list everything down, and now you start building the categories from there. So we're going to start that right now. So what are some categories you can think of from here? Some of them are kind of categories already. So so conditions, we can move weather into it, right?
Yep.
We can move day and night. We can move terrain.
Yep.
Did we miss something here? Nope. I don't think so. Safety, I'm sure, like this goes in. Oops.
Yep, wearing a helmet.
I'm sure there's others, right?
Yes, so that would be the riding rules. The we had down.
Learn the rules?
Learn the rules, yeah.
So would I move safety in learning the rules then? Like this? Because safety is a rule, right?
Safety is a rule, yeah.
All right. BMX is a type of bicycle.
Yep. So is racing, or is that under? Would that be style? A method.
Oh yeah. Let's do that. Method, you want to call it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're gonna move descent, ascent, and racing in there.
Sure.
Oh, I guess I can't move more than one at a time. I thought I did that in the past. Sorry about that. All right.
And then you've
How
got
about
BMX.
How about where's BMX? Here? Yeah.
BMX you have under types of bicycles, but it's also a method, is it not?
I would agree.
Using it as a method?
Yeah, I agree. I put that here. Or I guess BMX tricks.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then we could add some tricks like here, jump, spin, and all the different things here. What do you think of techniques? So we can add like gear shifting.
Oh yeah, good idea.
Pedaling, steering, and so I'm going to switch that view back to aligned, so that we can see it better. So, is sitting a technique? I guess it is, right?
Sitting's a technique.
Posture,
braking.
Yep, braking. Posture.
Yeah, there are certain. It's a technique because there are when you're doing BMX, you're typically not in the same posture as you are in racing or in regular, leisurely, whatever recreational biking.
Cool. So I'm basically moving most of those here. So you said visual motor skills. So I think it is a sub categories of techniques. So what would you include in visual motor skills?
If I were to break that down?
Yeah, like balance would be one of them.
Balance would be one of them. Multitasking. Balance would be one of them. Posture would be another one.
Right.
Braking.
Steering?
Yeah, steering, braking.
Gear shifting? Pedaling for sure.
Pedaling for sure. Gear shifting, no.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the other ones, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna move this here, and let's say this here. How does that look? Wait, I'm gonna move that back here and move this here, and nope, that's not even. I'm trying to make this even, but you can see the whole view here, right?
Yeah.
And that's not even half of the sub skills required to ride a bicycle. So when you create these skill trees, you try to come up with every single thing you can think of. And the funny thing is, when you're doing that alone, you are going to miss things. And Ariel and I just now didn't use internet. So that was really just from recollection. So that's why doing Google search and looking on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So when you build that, I like to do it in just like we did, just one big sitting, and then we rearrange properly. And then what you want to do is, what I typically do is I set myself a number of hours I want to practice for the month for that skill. So in my case, it's 15 hours. And now that I know what it takes to ride a bicycle, I can start with my current state in riding bicycles. So to be completely honest, riding conditions, in my case, I haven't done much. So I'm actually not very good at doing it at night or during weather conditions or different terrain. So night, I would actually put myself as one. I'm actually kind of scared, to be honest. I've never done it during rain or snow, and I've never done mountain biking. So actually, I'm actually a one in there. Steering, I'm actually quite a beginner in riding a bicycle. I feel so. Steering, balance, multitasking, I'd put a one in there. I think my posture is good. I'm pretty good at braking and okay at pedaling. So what I do then, after I've done the subcategories here, I do kind of an average for here. So if I go 2, 2, 1, 3, 2, so that's about 2. And I do that for every single thing in there.
Okay.
And then I try to define basically using the Pareto principle, right? What's the 20% of the activities I can do that are going to bring me the 80% of the results I'm looking for? So if I specify that for the 15 hours that I'm going to be practicing, if I specify that what I really want to learn is to write under all different conditions, that's my 15 hours, then I will list those as let's say red. That's what I used for the other one, and that's not very readable, so I'm going to put that in white. So the red signifies this is what I'm going to be focused on for the 15 hours. And then I can start listing some resources here. I can specify articles and YouTube videos that show techniques. Riding at night requires different equipment as well. So we said type of bicycles, but here we might want to change it or add equipment and move types of bicycles in there and put headlights. Right?
Yep.
We could put tires. Depending on the conditions, I might need different tires. And so all of a sudden, this might be important. This text, so I'm going to do this. And I'm going to start noting my current score. So I've never used headlights, and I've never used special tires. And so I focus on that, and I update it during the month as I keep practicing. And at the end of the month, I'm hoping that I'm going to be more than 1 in those categories. So that's how I use skill trees. I really wanted to. We're running out of time. I really wanted to jump into a skill that's actually more useful to you guys. But this, I think it's really important to start with a skill that seems so obvious to everyone. Like riding a bicycle. And when we break it down, and that was just 2 of us, and we came up with, I don't know, 25 different items in there. And just Thursday, we found probably another set of 25 as well. So skills are not as simple as they seem. So getting other opinions, like for example, on SkillUp Academy, we'd love for users to be able to share their skill trees, to inspire others, to show how they actually learn to use it.
Cool. Very cool. This really reframes it in a different way. I know we're running late, but just as a quick reflection, as a former principal and teacher, mm-hmm. we would do SkillUp trees in terms of note taking for students.
Okay.
Break down like the essential pieces, but there are 2 pieces that you.
So like the first step that we did.
So the first step in terms of like, okay, here's the main concept of, let's say the American Revolution, right? So there's the Boston Tea Party, there's the Boston Massacre, et cetera, right? So all these different facts. So they were a lot of time they're used for facts, not necessarily mm-hmm. skills. What I really like, the approach that you're saying is let's just do a brain dump, and you can even do it collaboratively. But then you also have to take responsibility for your learning and assign where are you at. Because mm-hmm. You're not going to, and that's the hard part, especially for kids and also for adults, to say, yeah, I'm not really good at this. So to mm-hmm. acknowledge your, where you need to grow.
Well, one suggestion I had yesterday or Thursday on that from one of the members who came in person was he wanted to. So he did communication, okay. And we broke down communication. It was a massive skill. We didn't get to the end of it, but we did get pretty far. And then he said, "I want to rate myself, but I want to know what my wife thinks." What's her opinion on where I stand in communication? I want to send that to my team. He's a team leader. He wants to send that and have a big picture idea of where he stands currently.
Cool.
And that gives him an idea of, oh, I thought I should spend more time on a nonverbal communication, but it seems like, no, my big problem is empathy. And so this is such a good awareness tool. Like, it's a good self-awareness tool when you assess yourself.
Yes.
It's an even better tool when you actually send that to other people. So when you build these templates, and you've seen, for example, the ukulele one that I did,
Yep.
The humor one that I did, I didn't put a score in there. So I could actually send that over to my wife, and she could rate myself on this based on what she's observing.
Sure.
It's very hard to rate yourself on things. What you think is one opinion out of many. So I really like this idea of sharing that, and I'm going to try to find ways to make that happen in SkillUp Academy, the app. And yeah,
nice. Oh, I love it. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully the recording is good enough too. I'm going to be doing some light editing on it as well, because there was some hiccups at the beginning trying to figure out the platform. The platform's great.
Yeah,
but we had to learn how to use it first. So next time is going to be a bit more fluid, I'd say. And
cool.
And if there's more people, and if people want to be leaders as well, to lead a session for creating mind maps in person, I'd love to be able to create different breakout sessions. So let's say we're 20 people, and then half of them want to learn writing, the other half want to learn communication. I'd love to be creating 2 breakout sessions that they can work each on the skills they're interested in, and share that with the rest of the people on the bigger stage.
That'll be
I think right?
Yeah, you get a lot of good insight in that.
Mm-hmm. There's so much to learn. That's the kind of workshop as well, that every time you do it, it's different. So now we did riding on a bicycle, but the next time we do it, we're going to be doing something different, and it will depend on the members. So I think the next time I'm going to have the riding a bicycle skill kind of as a required reading, or not necessarily required, but I'm going to put it out there so they understand first, and not spend as much time on this one, so we can spend time on skills that participants actually care more about.
Cool. Very cool.
All right. So yeah, that was the first one. Hopefully that was helpful to people. I'm gonna be cutting that into easier to use videos as well, like smaller chunks as well, that we can share.
Nice.
And yeah, I hope to be organizing more of those. I think that there's value.
I think there's tremendous value. I think that there are multiple ways of marketing the future webinars, in terms of, the timing, that it could even be like a 45-minute workshop, or a half-hour workshop, depending on what you're doing. But I would love to see how this would work with a group. I think that would be fascinating to see how that works in a session. So that'll be a great experiment to do.
Yeah, the in-person group was quite nice. The collaboration and like the interactions and stuff. I think that's even better for sure.
Nice. Awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for people who came online, and yeah, we'll keep you posted. The SkillUp workshop page is always going to be active on the ForestCo website, so we're going to be announcing new dates probably a month from now, something like that.
Cool.
And we'll see.
Fantastic.
All right.
Sounds great.
Thanks for joining, and see you in the next one.
All right. Take care, everyone.